And this is really a perfect segue to our next and final speaker, Knellee Bisram, a dear friend and colleague who works closely with local communities in different parts of the world, especially youth, to open hearts and minds through meaningful connection with self, others and nature. And her work focuses not only on our shared humanity, but a universal sense of interconnection that redefines that sense of us in a much, much deeper way. So welcome back, Knellee. Great to see you again.
Thank you, Susan. And I just want to let everybody know that I brought the love with me today. So, and I think that, I'm just taking a moment to digest the beautiful presentations that Dave, Kurt, Lena, and Suzanne shared with us, because and the mastery of Susan that understood that it was important for me to go last, because I think and I'm also kind of calibrating in my brain how to share all that we have to share, that really just demonstrates that everything that was presented, how we are experiencing this in action in community, and how kind of we are building our research kind of from what we're discovering on the ground. And so I want to talk a little bit about nature-centered approaches, nature-centered mindfulness, and how the importance of story to fight, disinformation, misinformation, especially the times that we're in, but then also give you an experience. So I want to show some stories. We have a couple videos that I'll share. Talk a little bit about our work with AHAM Education, and I see my co-facilitator, Piero Falci, is on here. A program called B.Nature, which is, I would say, the culmination of everything that was shared. So I'm very excited for a debrief, because I think there's a lot of research that we weren't aware of that's happening that can really complement our work. So I have some slides, and I may or may not go through all of them. But in essence, this idea that what is happening to the earth is just a manifestation of what's going on with us. It's just a little bit about our organization and our mission to train young leaders over the next 5 years in our Be Nature program.
Thanks very much. We'll just see if we can get her back online. Perhaps Piero, who is also here, works with Knellee. Perhaps you might like to step in. We're kind of on the fly here, so putting you on the spot.
Hello, everybody. I'm Piero Falci, and I am a mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher, and I teach the Be Nature program. Actually, I co-created the Be Nature program with Knellee, and we have been teaching this program since 2021, so it's a couple of years now. It's an 8-week program where we bring mindfulness and eco-awareness, eco-affinity, and eco-action together. It initiated with the idea of bringing mindfulness to activists, so those who were in the front lines of the ecological crisis, to avoid burnout and to bring more mindfulness techniques that could help them. But also, as we evolved, we felt that we have many people who come to us for personal reasons, stress, anxiety, and fear, but they do not engage in eco or eco-activism, if you will. And so we also, as teachers, we want to nudge them to become more active and do whatever they can, what is theirs to do in order to tame the upcoming ecological crisis. So we started with the 8-week Be Nature program that teaches the basics of mindfulness, meditation, and mindful living, but also very much connected with the experiences in nature. We like to say that we are not the teachers of the program, that nature is the ultimate teacher of the program. We like to say when we are in nature that we are not the protagonists, but actually nature is the protagonist, and we are just in supporting roles. We like to say that Nature does not need us, humans, but we do need nature. And the idea of interbeingness, that I prefer to use the word communion. I think that we are in connection, communication, and communion with nature in a way. I think that Knellee is back,
Yeah,
Susan.
she's back with us. Thank you so much. Knellee, I think we can either play one of the videos or both of the videos. You just let us know.
So if you could, here's what we'll do. Thank you, Piero, for jumping in and talking about Be Nature. So I think if we can show the video, and then the slide after the video, the first video, I'll speak a little bit to that, and then we'll just close with a practice that really kind of embodies what we're talking about.
We live in a world that's ridden by disconnection, grief, anxiety, especially around the ecological crisis.
If we think about all the climate events that are happening, we can see that we're living in very dangerous times right now. We need to change our mentality. We need to go to a zero waste reality. I have been trying to teach activism to meditators and also to bring meditation to activists, so activists can avoid burnout and really do their activism from an inner knowing, from the center of themselves.
We become more aware of the importance of using mindfulness and contemplative healing practice as a tool to really help activists who are on the front lines manage their grief and their anxiety, and to tap into this connection with nature as a way to approach this work from a place of love rather than fear, from a place of hope rather than despair. The Mindful Beach Cleanup is an extension of a movement we've created of healing people in natural spaces. We wanted to create an experience for folks who are already engaged in healing to discover for themselves that healing oneself is not separate from healing the planet. When we are in a contemplative space, we discover that there is no boundary between the physical human body and the earth body. And so by offering this opportunity, not just to practice healing in nature, but to practice healing of nature, we're creating activists out of healers and out of people who are practicing mindfulness or other forms of healing for themselves.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so the images that you saw is a community of practice that was built around many of the principles that were shared. And so the idea, and this happened mainly during the pandemic, where folks were, we've had communities of practice over the years, but what was special about this is that it was very intentional in terms of holding a restorative space for our BIPOC community members who typically don't go to the beach, even though they live very close to the beach, because they've lost their connection to nature because over generations, which really started 400 years ago when there was very little access to the beach, right, for certain members of the community. And so without kind of going into all of that, we understood that having a community of practice on a historically Black beach and telling the story of this space, that we were bringing the space in as the facilitator of the healing that folks, wanted to have a space to go to during the pandemic. And so that weekly community of practice, which we didn't miss for a whole year, we literally had 52 communities of practice on the beach, became a safe container for telling stories of what we were experiencing, but also for mindfulness practice. And so how we build community is extremely important in building that trust and being able to recognize what those shared values are, even when we find ourselves on opposite sides of whether it's political, economic, or what have you issues, right? Especially in a time where everyone is suffering, we find that it's easier to use nature as a facilitator for those experiences. And so folks started reconnecting and restoring their relationship to the natural space. And then what ended up happening was this impulse of what we call falling in love, right? So if you're looking at the screen now, you'll see eco-awareness, eco-affinity, eco-action. This model emerged out of what we learned from that community of practice. The more we were engaging intentionally with awareness of ourselves, of our relationship to each other, and our relationship to nature, the more that we connected in wise relationship and we experienced interbeing, we fell in love. We fell in love with each other. We fell in love with ourselves. We fell in love with our environment. And we tend to protect and take care of what we love. And so what happened was folks then wanted to do more. And we started doing these mindful beach cleanups, which is the infusion of mindfulness, or the infusion of, I would say, more embodied eco-action. And it didn't stop there. One of our members decided to run for office and she's now the city commissioner and the vice mayor. And she's not only a practitioner of mindfulness and promoting mindfulness, we now have a mindfulness committee, and we're working with the school district. She's also passing ordinances or getting ordinances passed for areas of the community that are not close to the water, that don't have amazing real estate, that are what we call communities that tend to experience environmental injustices. And so it's really important to understand how far everything that was shared by the other speakers, it goes beyond just how are we connecting, how are we relating, are we able to communicate, are we able to find common ground? It actually results in action. The other story that I'll share is that there are mindfulness teachers who this type of work has really, really opened them up to bringing the experience of mindfulness beyond sort of the easing individual suffering and seeing how it connects to social change. So there's another video where Susan was there that really shows how we connect the grassroots to the grass stop. So we're also, Aham Education is a UN accredited organization, and we engage a lot at the UN. And the way that we bring storytelling and these experiential our Be Nature retreats and our Be Nature programming into these high-level spaces is to engage folks in experiences and retreats like the one we did at the Garrison Institute in collaboration with other partners, so that they go through the same experience of informing their practice through their experiences in mindfulness, or rather through their experiences of interbeing. And it really shifts the way we make decisions and the way we take action. So the next slide has a short video. It's a minute long, and I'll just do a really short practice. How's that?
Perfect.
I want to
Thank you.
invite everyone, if you've been sitting for a while, to just stand. Just stand with me. And this is a mini version of something we do in the Be Nature course that Piero talked about. And so as you stand, just becoming aware of your body, feeling your feet, feeling the body as a whole. And as we stand here, you might bring to mind a natural feature that brings you a lot of ease, brings a sense of awe, curiosity, wonder. It might be a tree, it might be a mountain, it might be a body of water. And as you bring this natural feature to mind, ask permission for this feature to be with you today. Just ask permission if it's okay to spend just a minute here. And as you see this feature in your mind's eye, allow yourself to merge into this feature so that you become the tree, the mountain, the landscape, the body of water. And so just noticing and sensing, how does it feel like to be me? How does it smell? What does the air taste like? What sounds are here? How does it feel to be rooted in the bedrock of the earth? And so taking in through the senses all of the elements that we embody in this body, in this natural feature, and in this physical body as this natural feature. The water, the air, the earth, the fire, the ether or spaciousness. And as we bid this quick visit farewell, saying thank you to this natural feature for reminding us that we are made of the same elements, for reminding us that we can be reflective like water, deeply rooted in the earth, resilient, withstand changes, magnanimous, resourceful. Taking a few deep, soft belly breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, and then bidding farewell, unmerging your body from this feature, saying thank you, and having a sense that we are not separate, even as I go back to my world and you go back to yours, that we are part of the web of life, and that we can return to each other whenever we choose. And so if the eyes were closed, allowing them to open. This was a 90-second version of a 20-minute practice.
Thank you so much, Knellee. And Piero for stepping in there.
And